Good evening and salutations, my G friends. We'll start off with the Molly and Cody scene. Okay, I get it. This was their attempt at humor. This whole idiotic scene with Molly writing the book, the cowboy book, and how it played out with her, some guy, then Cody. They say Clint. I think the last name was Buchanan. I wasn't too sure, but it made me sit there and think about when I left. I get it was supposed to be cute and funny. Clearly that shit went over my head. But whatever. It's another one of their attempts at failed humor to me. Okay. So we get back to the real world, right? And Cody walks in to get some lunch. Molly is being all nice now after acting like a royal bitch to him a couple weeks ago. It's like, oh, I have a question about horses or something like that. She asked a question. I don't even remember what he said because it was so low tone that I couldn't even make out what he said. But it was like a one word answer, like yeah, whatever, and he practically just walked off. And she felt stupid. And to be honest, well, that's what you get. Now, granted, the reason why he was acting so cold to her was because the whole Maxie being in the hospital and being with Mac and Felicia and everything. So to be honest, he did not have the bandwidth to sit there and deal with her. But in all reality, even if Maxie was okay and like she wasn't in the hospital or anything like that, I would be totally cool with him giving her that attitude because it was like a whole 180. Like, what are you doing sitting there being nice to me? Like, the hell are you? What? No. So yeah, I enjoyed that scene particularly. And then, Molly goes back to writing her stupid ass book. And then Christina comes in and see that she's flustered and she's all like, oh, well, I'm having a trouble time with my brief or some work or whatever that she lied about. And was like, oh, this is all Cody's fault. He came in and he threw me off balance and blah, 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 blah. But then she was like, he was really there for me in the times that I needed. The fire and all this other stuff, and I pretty much misjudged him. And I was like, yeah, you did. And then you sat there and you listened to your dumbass sister. So, like, like, I'm sorry. Is anybody supposed to sit there and feel bad for her at this point? I don't understand. I'm almost saying like she was looking for for a level of sympathy that I'm just like, really? So she finds out that from Christina, that the reason why he was being so cold shouldered was because Maxie was in the hospital. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, I feel so dumb for asking her all these dumb questions." Like, no, you should have felt bad for being nasty and rude to him, and then trying to do a 180 like shit was cool. That's what you should feel bad for. But okay, sure, whatever. Um, Now Cody visits Felicia, talks to her for a little bit, goes back to the house where Tracy is doing like horse chores. Even when Brooklyn walked in and saw her, I was more surprised that she wasn't like, "What are you doing? Why are you in here looking all ragged and everything like that? You're Tracy Angelica Quartermain. You pay people to do things like this. What? I don't even care." So yeah, he goes back. He apologizes for being so long, and Tracy gives him a pep talk about you know him wasting all his time and not being with the family and all the time he missed out. And long story short, Tracy's like, "Well, did you learn from this? Like how family is important and whatever sort of life lesson she was meant to trying to get to him. He decided to take her up on it. And, this involves the whole scheming with Ava and Christina and everything like that. So when Ava comes to sit there and talk to Cody, he's very cold shouldered, like, this isn't a good time. I'm not really up for company or whatever. And instead of him just sitting there saying, you need to sit there and leave or whatever, he's just like, I'm not the good guy that you think I am. Could have just told her to leave. I think that would have been a lot more better, but whatever. Um, Now, Ava, here's the thing. Ava and Nina was at the poolside, and, Nina's not there talking. I don't even remember what she was talking about. I think she was not there talking about Willow and her problems or whatever. And then, of course, Ava sees Rick and Liz, and she gets super jealous. Here's my thing. I don't feel that she's jealous of Liz being with Rick. Like, yeah, she likes Rick as far as fun or whatever, but like she's not like in love with Rick. What it really comes down to is her ego and her pride being hurt and wounded. She don't like losing. That's just what it comes down to. It's not so much like she likes Rick. She just doesn't like losing Rick to someone else. And so there's a point where Nina's not there talking about how Rick is not really, representing her just out of the kindness of his heart is because Nina's paying. And Ava's like, listen, I'm pretty sure that would change Liz's opinion of him, if she found out pretty much. But Nina tells her not to say anything because then she'll kick Rick to the curb out of spite and will guarantee that she will not be able to get back her kids or see her kids. So Ava decides to be quiet for now until probably Rick does something and she just goes off on her emotions like usual and decides to do it anyway and then apologize afterwards as though everything's cool. Um, which of course, Rick is, Liz is not there praising Rick for just doing this to be nice and out of the goodness of his heart. And he says, he's also doing it out of pride. He doesn't like losing. And he felt like, it was kind of a slam dunk or whatever. So he's trying to, portray this real good guy image, and he feels like Liz is falling for it. And on some level, I guess she kind of is, but like she's not really. Like she agreed to, go to go to lunch with him, and go to the Metro Core, and she even offers to buy, which I was just like, you don't have to go that far. I mean, those prices, I'm pretty sure the Metro Core prices are pretty up there. Like Rick could afford it. He was like, no, I got this. Like you should let him get this. You should really let him get this. Um, so this whole thing, okay, yeah, this whole thing at the police station where you have Drew sitting there telling Marty to sit there and sign a witness statement saying that Michael threatened Drew, which she totally didn't. And at that point, Marty was like, I can't do that. So he stepped to the side, and Drew is pretty much reaming him out like, bro, what are you doing? And at this point, Marty's like, see, I'm not doing this because you're the one that outed Stella about the whole fraud thing. I trusted you as a confident friend, and you pretty much stabbed me in the back. So he's like, how about this? And this is where I didn't understand. He was like, how about this? I will sign that statement if you agree to, make this whole thing go away, like stop the investigation of Stella. And he looks at you, and I'm just like, even before he finished that sentence, I was like, there's no way you can stop it. It's already started. You can't just make that go away and act like it didn't happen. It's already in motion. And he even says, he was like, because you can't do it, can you? And part of me was like, then why did you ask? Like, why did you ask him to do something that you knew he couldn't do? So long story short, he's like, I'm not signing it. And Drew's like, okay, cool. I'm firing you. Good luck with paying your ex-wives. So he goes back and he tells Justine, yeah, I was there, but I didn't hear him say anything about threatening Drew. And he's out. And at this point, Justine's like, hey, listen, I got no witnesses. The case is closed, and that's that. And then Drew's like, oh, well, he probably paid you off or whatever. And, Justine pretty much is like, listen, just kick rocks. Long story short, just kick rocks. Sonny decides to stay afterwards, even though he went against Diane's wishes as far as talking to Justine without a lawyer. It's just for him to sit there and say thank you, for helping out Michael. I'm like, she didn't help out Michael. She just didn't have any evidence to really sit there and prosecute him. Sonny was just like, hey, listen, you just gonna have to watch it back because you made an enemy with Drew. Of course, Justine's like, listen, I've dealt with worse, far worse than Drew. Drew goes to the hospital and talks to Willow, even though he says, hey, listen, I'm all about respecting your wishes and everything like that. It's like, if you are, you wouldn't be talking to her, but whatever. He's like, I got something to tell you. And she looks at the shiner on his eye, whatever. It's like, yeah, Michael assaulted me, and he got away with it. He and his family was able to manipulate the legal system. So basically, I'm not trying to make you afraid or anything like that, but if he could sit there and do that after he assaulted me, well, you may not ever get to sit there and see your kids. And him scaring her, and part of me was like, girl, you were doing so well. You were doing so well without having Drew in your goddamn ear. And you would think that everything, after everything, you would learn your fucking lesson. But it's like her ability to think had just went out the goddamn window. And she was like, that means that even if I follow the law and I do everything right, I still may not be able to see my kids. But I don't know if I can sit there and trust you. And he apologized for the whole Nina thing, and he grabs her and he hugs her. And at first she's like trying to slowly pull away, but then she just goes right into his arms, and Nina sees this, and it's just like, and the sad thing is that everybody, the nurses and people that's like, you finally got away from him, you finally got, from under his spell, is just going to be like, there you go. Right back again. It's like you didn't learn a goddamn thing. One of the things that Nina said that irked me when she was sitting there talking about, Willow and everything like that, she was like, this is all Drew's fault, for, me and my daughter's estrangement. I was like, see, this is part of the reason why you're not in your daughter's life. It's because you don't know how to take accountability and you don't know how to put in your big girl pants and own up to your shit. You rather make excuses because it's just easier for you. You make up excuses, you lie, you try to justify your actions, and then you want people to feel sorry for you when things blow up in your face. I'm like, listen, no one's not there saying that Drew didn't have a hand in you and your daughter's relationship. But you lied just as well. You lied to her every single day. And you could have said something, you chose not to. So the fact that you are sitting there constantly blaming Drew for something that you also took a part of just shows me why, honestly, tell you the truth, I can see why Willow don't want no parts of you. This is why Willow wanted no parts of you when she found out that you were her mother. Because of that immaturity that she still has after years of finding out that they are mother and daughter, she hasn't grown. She really has not grown. And that's saying something. It sucks because it's like the writers don't want her to grow. The writers don't want her to grow because, well, hell, Carly needs a punching bag. That's the truth of the matter. Oh, and Tracy gives Brooklyn a pep talk because she left the hospital because she was like, listen, I don't want me and Lulu's animosity to overshadow each other, to overshadow the family and everything like that. And long story short, Tracy's pretty much just like, you and Lulu are just alike. And, you need to sit there and practically work out your differences because right now, Max is in the hospital. And, you need to also be there for the family as well as Lulu. So, y'all may not never be friends, but y'all gonna have to sit there and essentially call it truce, right? And Liesel came over to talk to Lulu, right? And although the conversation was really well, as far as her admitting, listen, I came at you sideways when, this wasn't all your fault, you know, um, and plus I sat there and act like Rocco didn't sit there and reach out to you first. And she talks about how when she woke up from a coma, she pretty much tried to play catch up and seeing her, it just like, it was a very shitty take. And she does finally own up to it. Um, and so that shows some level of growth, which is good. Um, it took her a long time to get there, which is a really annoying trip, but you know, she finally did get there. There's one point I'm not gonna lie, when she talks about the coma and everything like that, and Maxie slipping into a coma. There's one point I feel like she does kind of make it about herself, but it is what it is. Um, and of course, Brooklyn comes over there, and they agree to just get along for the family's sake, get along for Maxie's sake. You know, like, hey, listen, we may not never be friends, but we got to sit there and put our shit aside. So that was good. So Stella really didn't understand the gravity of her situation because while Stella was like, listen, at first Curtis was like, I'm gonna sit there and come after Drew with Aurora, and hopefully put an end to him. Stella was like, listen, you can do that, but it's still not going to change anything. At the end of the day, it was the choice that she made. Even if she made it because she felt like it was the right thing to do, her heart was in the right place. She was like, hey, listen, I made the choice that I made. And she's like, listen, if I have to sit there and leave during the hospital, leave the job I love, the people I love, then it is what it is. And I'm just like, yeah, you're not really getting it. Alexis had to sit there and explain to her, I was like, no, 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 no. Boo, you could be looking at prison time. There's a reason why they call certain things white collar crimes that will still land your ass in prison. It will still land your ass in prison. And of course, Marty comes over. He apologizes. He owns up to it. He's like, hey, listen, this whole investigation thing is started because of me. I, like an idiot, told Drew. And, they were like, hey, listen, we already know that Drew's involved. And of course, that was like, listen, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I did it. And of course, Curtis is like, hey, listen, this is Drew's fault. And I'm going to find a way to stop him. This is the reason why everyone's not there looking at this show or this story as a whodunit. Because at some point, somebody's going to get tired. They're gonna snap. When Drew was there going off on people, he was going off on Michael and Sonny snipped there saying, hey, listen, I'm not gonna stop until I get Willow's kids back, no matter who I have to sit there and take down. He said that right in front of the whole room, in front of Diane, just made that shit very clear. I'm still coming after your asses. And he walked away. And you can tell the level of restraint that Michael had to sit there and have. The problem is that Michael should probably have the restraint the first time around, but it is what it is, and he managed to get lucky. I mean, come on, seriously. That whole thing, 9 witnesses, you tell me nobody saw him hit him? No. We're not gonna sit there and act like that is totally possible. Even if I'm at a restaurant with somebody, I can see what's going on. You know? Diane did sit there and ask the question though. Diane was like, listen, I get it. You're trying to cultivate the DNA. But are you playing her or is she playing you? Now Rick does want to call on Alexis and practically similarly give the same offer that Ava gave. one more payment, and it's done. And of course, I'm assuming she agrees. He did sit there and talk to Ava, and Ava was like, "Listen, you shut down my account, so I can't like withdraw anything." And of course, Rick was like, "Oh, just for a little bit, just to make sure you don't spend any unwanted expenditures or whatever." I'm like, "What? That doesn't make any sense." Like the thing was set up for both of y'all. And of course, Molly's like, "Oh, I have feelings for Cody." I was like, "Girl, we already know that. We just waiting for you to sit there and say that shit out loud." Um, yeah, it almost seems like they just erased TJ from the General Hospital history. I know that Jordan probably mentioned that like a couple weeks ago, but it feels so long ago that it's like, oh yeah, that happened, right? Yeah, it did. Uh, do, 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 do. My question for Cody is, now that you have this attack of conscience because of the whole Maxie thing and Tracy and everything like that, and you want to do the right thing, and you're not going to sit there and be doing any more scams and stuff. Are you going to give back Christina's money? Like seriously, I mean, listen, I'm all up for improving yourself and stuff like that, but you already started a job. Christina already gave you the money for it. So unless you're going to return that money, maybe you should finish the job. Maybe you could start your resolution after you finish the job. I'm just saying, like, listen, Christina's not my favorite character, but like, she gave you money to do a job. So you gonna return that money? Now I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else. I am still so running behind. I have about three soap operas left. It's like 6:30, so I'm guessing maybe 8:30. I should be good. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. Around 8:30, I should be good. We'll see. I put up something in the community tab and let y'all know when I'm coming on, and we'll talk about anything that I missed in General Hospital as well as the other four soap operas. And I'll see you in the next video.